Hey everybody. Before we get into the video, I just want to thank all the coaches that stopped by for the fourth installation of the Coaching Talk series. Again, we're trying to do this every week, trying to do as much as possible, I guess we should say. Thank you to especially Coach Bryan Deason for going deep into his tagging system, because that's what this conversation was about. Was all about tags and how we use them, how we do them. So I hope you learn a lot. He has some real good stuff here, and I'm going to link his information down in the description. So if you definitely want to, contact him, he's more willing to help anybody else out. So and we're definitely going to have him on again to go even more further into his tagging system and his installation and all that. So I hope you enjoy the video. And again, like I said, the information for his contact and also his spreadsheet that he uses for his numbering system is going to be linked down in the description. So hope you all enjoy the video.
Anyhow, so if it's on the wristband, it tells them what to do already. So if it's 6 or 66, it's telling them what route to run, and then we come off of that with just like a tag word, something simple like stop, hinge, slant. If we're running shallow off of 6, which a lot of people do, they run 6 and then they run somebody on a shallow route, so they have a shorter route. If everything's covered, we can do that. But I don't tag a lot. The only time I'm tagging is if we're doing like small little RPO things, like we're running inside zone and we're running stick on the outside of that. I don't see that as a tag. I just see that as a concept. So if you're running like 3 zone to the left and then you're running Y stick to the right, that's 368 to us. And it just tells the offensive line, hey, we're still blocking 3, but receivers, we're running 68 passing concept. And it makes it simple for everybody to understand that. Sometimes I don't have that on the wristband. Sometimes I just have to tell them, hey, huddle up for a minute, and just tell the quarterback, hey, or even yell across the field, 368. We're the only ones that run it. So, if they can figure it out, great. If they can't, then we'll kick their butt with it, So.
I'm glad you brought the wristband up too, because I was thinking about this too, as far as lessening up some of the signals. Putting just basic tags, like tag plays, like if we run like one of our tags would be our slant off the backside slant off our jet sweep. Mm-hmm. Just putting that play in there and saying, hey, look at blue 5 or whatever, look at the wristband for that, and our tags would be on wristband plus our little couple of our exotic formation. Everything else would be hand signal, like our base offense. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's something I'm thinking about doing, so that it saves me on the hand signals, so that they can just, I could say, hey, look at blue 5 or whatever it might be on the wristbands. They know that, in all skill receivers or all skill positions and the center would have a wristband, and just go from there. That's what I'm glad you brought that. That's one thing I'm toying around with right now.
To me, it's a lot easier because you're just going blue 5 and they're looking down and they're finding blue 5 on the wristband, and you're rolling. I mean, we teach our linemen when we do it this way that you're meeting the ball at the new line of scrimmage.
Right.
So wherever it is the center's the first one that should, as soon as the whistle is blown, we should be down the field anyhow on run plays blocking. So you go to the closest hash mark and get set. The quarterback's going to tell you what the play is off of the wristband. All you got to do is look, and I'm ready to go. It's fast. I think it's great early in the season because it helps get your kids in shape. You don't have to run 13 or 5 gassers at the beginning of practice and 4 at the end. You're going down the field as fast as possible.
And I kind of do the same thing you guys do. It's nothing revolutionary. The only thing that I would say is you're asking the question when to do your tags and what to call. Obviously you have to have a reason for every play that you call, every motion you call. Everything should have a reason within your offense. The hardest thing to do is communicating that reason to your kids at the time it's needed, right? You have to have a ton of terminology, or you have to have a ton of tags, or so on and so forth. And what I hear from all you guys are saying is I only tag very seldom. Like I may have 5 max. Okay. I'll say the same thing. I've got really basically 3 tags, but the assignments that I run within my concepts are always the same. Does that make sense? Okay. So if I'm running shallow, my shallow concept trumps everything. Now I can tag any kid to a different assignment within that with 1 or 2 words. Does that make sense? And then I can get to whatever I need. And I'll show you guys how I do it here in a second. You know, you let me share my screen. I'll show you kind of a system that I've built and put in place. And I think that if we approach the game like you guys have an advantage at middle school if you're running middle school ball, because you know who your opponents are and you know what you're seeing, you know what defense they run year in and year out. And most coaches aren't going to veer away from what they do on a normal basis from year to year. You may have a little wrinkle here and there based off of personnel, but a 3-4 defensive guy is not going to become a 4-2-5 guy overnight, right? He's going to test it. It's going to take a few games. You're going to have some games on video. You're going to be able to see it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And when they go start tinkering, then you can, make good tags and make good decisions based off of what they're doing. So in your sense, if you're not coaching youth football and you need anything at any time in any way to get to it at, just at a whim, then this system is even more beneficial to you. Does that make sense? Because now you can really utilize it and get what you want anytime you want it, and you're not teaching anything else. And that's the thing about this is once you teach your base concepts, from there, it's unstoppable, really. I mean, where you go with it. The hardest thing to do is pull back and not tag it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it is so simple. And once once I show it to you guys, you'll go, man, that's pretty simple. I mean, I'm teaching it anywhere from 7U all the way up to high school kids, high school coaches. You'll pick it up like this. I can teach it to you guys in 20 minutes, and you can teach it to your guys in the same 20 minutes. It goes really quick. So
are you able to share your screen? I think I just made it. I think I just did it.
Yeah, let me pull up my let's play here, and if I got my terms, pull this diagram up first. The other day when I was doing some presentations here, I really couldn't see my screen well, and I hope I don't get that here today. And we'll see. Okay, so share screen. Let's look at that one. You guys see that?
Yep, got it.
All right. Now, this is just one of my basic sheets. This is an alignment sheet. It's an install sheet. We start 2x2. We call this 22 pistol, and everything I do is from this. Okay. So every tag I call, every play that I call, all of this is, this is the whole system right here. The numbers that you see going across from left to right, the way we lay the field out is I've got some cones. I've got these big cones. They're, like field cones. And what I do is I painted 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ace, left, right, just like you see it marked out here on the field. And I paint it and I put it out wherever we're starting from the day, right? This is day 1 install, okay? So what you see is I've got colors, red, green, blue, yellow, and purple. Those colors don't change, right? But they're also concepts. So like if I got a red concept, I'm in shallow. If I call green concept, I'm in flood. If I call blue concept, I'm in snag. If I call yellow concept, I'm maybe in pop, because tight end, you run the pop pass. Does it make sense? So that's the way my wristbands are structured, by color and by concept. Okay. So everyone has in each concept is the base of what you're going to run. So for shallow, for me, as an example, the red would run the shallow. The green, he runs a corner, right? Blue, my back always has 3 choices: swinger or bubble, right? So right there in every single play I call, he's got swinger or bubble. Doesn't matter if we're in a passing concept, he's got those 3 choices every time, right? He and the quarterback can communicate that based off of what they want to do on the defense, what they got before, right? So I give them a little flexibility, because once you get this taught, that becomes very special, man. And I'll get more into it here in a minute. Okay. And then just a regular yellow, he's running the 5-yard dig, 8-yard dig, whatever, however fast he is, whatever timing you need for it. And then the purple runs the post, right? And we still read it post, dig, shallow. Okay. The only time we wouldn't read it post, dig, shallow is if I know that I can get that shallow right now because the green's clearing that overhang out, or he's taking the corner with him every time we run it. Does that make sense? Okay. Then I would just throw it as an RPO and we'd hit it almost like a slant. We're going to pull it, hit it right now. Does that make sense? So, okay. Now the numbers here, there's splits differences. Okay. So you can see 0 is the halfway point between the hash, the top of the hash out of bounds here, and the bottom of the numbers. Okay. The 1 is the bottom of the numbers, or we call it bottom of the numbers. We can just say bottom. They know what it is, right? We say top, they know it's the top. Our base alignment is as just like we got it, right? Top of the numbers, outside the hash, if we're in the middle of the field, right? Same thing on the other side. Top of the numbers, outside the hash, okay? The 7 is a number split between the ghost of a tight end and the hash. Does that make sense? So these are based off of splits. It ends up being about 2.5 yards either side of the number. Okay. So I can always get my guy within a 2-yard range of where I need him, anywhere on the field by any time. All right. So now I'm going to ask you guys, if I want to build a trips to the right, and we're just going to say that our motion, right, our pre-snap movement, a shift is rip. Okay. So if I say rip, right, if I say green rip 8, what would that get me? What would that look like? What would that formation be?
He's going to be the middle receiver, right?
Right. So the green's going to come over here. He's going to rip pre-snap, right? And he's going to end up right there. It's a shift, right? So we go rip 8, and now I've got trips right over there. See what I'm getting at? Okay. So back to base. All right. So if I want a tight end left, what do you think my tag is? Like here, we're building formations here. So this is just a formation. This is a tag for me, right? So I line up, I'm 22 pistol, but I want a tight end this time. What am I going to say? I'm just going to say one word.
Ace.
Ace. Now who's going to move there?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Right. He's my tight end. Okay. Now we're talking about personnel now. Okay. So as coaches, we know personnel. Yellow is my tight end, right? Y is my tight end, yellow. So that's who I would really want to populate that spot, right? Okay. So you can do it that way, or you can do it like we do it. And what I've kind of morphed into is these 2 receivers here, they stay on that side of the field. So if I say ace, right, this guy would go here just like that and populate because he's the quickest guy that can get there. Does that make sense? Okay. I may still want to have this 2-man concept on this backside. I don't want to have him travel. If I don't say rip or give him a motion tag or something like that, he's not going to cross the midline. Does that make sense? Okay. So if for some reason, I don't know why it does that to me sometimes. Sorry, guys. This is just plays. It does the same thing in PowerPoint. So once you get on top of something, man, it really sucks. All right. Okay. So let's just go here. Okay. We know he's going to ace. Then the red's got to come off, right? If for some reason I said ace and we just ran shallow, but I want to run it again, but I want my corner, right? I want the corner route to hold the inside linebacker farther over to give my shallow route more room, right? Because now I'm running the RPO off of it. Does that make sense? Okay. So now I'm going to slide this guy in here. I'm going to call him ace, but I just covered him up, right? Is that okay? It's okay if I'm running the ball, but if we want to pass, it's not, right? So my tag, so again, I have very few tags, will be lights. So I just go like this. It's like a light switch. And then I say right or left, right, up or down with my arm, up or down, right or left, right? Light switch. Lights is on or off, right? Left or right. So I just say ace, and then I give him this, lights. Now I've switched the formation. He goes, populates ace. He's got that, and I bang off shallow again. I just run it again. Does that make sense?
Is that you're running that, I don't want to say complexity, but you're running that with the younger kids too,
Oh yeah.
the switching the red and the green guys on and off?
Oh yeah, it's a man. Once you get your terms set, it's easy, right? And so I don't, I don't know what you guys call on and off. How you handle it, how you call it switch, whatever. I mean, I don't know what you guys call it. I'm just telling you what I do, right?
I have my X and Z's always on.
Yeah. Okay.
But I hadn't thought about, because we've been going back and forth this off season on whether or not we want to incorporate some wing or hand in the dirt tight end,
Yeah.
because that would require us to teach different things. But if we actually just taught them, hey, switch it, because I've always been afraid to do that, because I'm always worried that they won't do it right. I guess
Right.
it's like anything else, you practice it.
Yeah. But okay, so here's the key is like, how do you practice it, right? So what makes it simple? So what makes this simple is the numbering, right? The numbers don't change. The widths are the widths. It's 2.5 yards left or right of me of my base location. If your base location is that, right? Okay. I'm just going to delete that ace. It's keeps messing with me. I'll pull him up here. How's that? That works. We just know that those are the tight ends, right? So the other word is pro. Okay. 7 would be inside on the hash. 3 would be inside on the hash. Those distances. So the 3, just so I'm on that, we're in this area. I'll talk about it right now. All these distances are splits between the next man to you, right? So it's halfway in between you and the next man inside of you. So if we were in the boundary over here, right, that 3 would be condensed. Does that make sense? So that slot, if you just need to move him over a couple steps because they've walked down the weak safety's coming down and he's fixing to hit you on a corner blitz, they're going to switch or play cut or something like that over there, right? They're coming after you. You want to get that guy in front of him to block him. Now you can just move him over a couple feet. You're yelling green 3, and then now he's going to move over and he'll be able to protect that backside.
What are your splits for your O-line? Just out of curiosity.
2 foot. I try to keep them 2 foot. We'll condense them if we got like a here we get a lot of 4 eyes. More people are playing that tight front. They're finding that, like, when you're running zone, if he crosses face, he can get in there pretty quick. But so what we'll do is we use smart splits. But I like to keep mine 2. If I can push them out, if a kid's playing a technique, I'll push him out, dude. I'll push him out, as far as he wants to walk. After a while, you start burning them on it a few times, they're going to start playing the area of the technique and not the technique,
Right.
And then, obviously we'll move the guys back down. I don't like to get them any closer than a foot. I don't, and I won't teach them any closer than that. If they start getting too tight because they're getting beat like that, I need a new kid. That's just my opinion, right? Or I need to find a way to get another kid back there to help him block. And I'll go over some terms I use to get to that, right? It's like duo for me. What's duo for you guys, right? What do you call it?
Well, we actually don't use duo, so
Right. Okay. But duo is a good term, man. It's
right.
a great term because I can run a duo play with this guy. I can run duo with that guy if I need him, right? So for me, duo is just a term that tells any back, right? Any slot, any tight end, any back that he's going to help someone on the line of scrimmage block someone on the defensive line of scrimmage at the point of attack. So if I call 24 duo, it's 2 back, 4 hole. I'm getting somebody else to help me block that down lineman at the point of attack at the 4 hole. So I may have to, as an example, here's our 4 hole, right? I may have to say Liz. So Liz is a motion call for me. I may have to say Liz, right? Duo. Okay. So those are two tags, Liz Duo. And Duo is just like a combo block for me. That's the combo block for me. That's my tag, right? For combos. Combo like this or combo routes for receivers. So it's this way or that way. And they know that that's combos, right? Doesn't matter which way I call it. All right. So he knows it's a combo block with the dude. Okay. So let's just say we had end right here, and then we had a Sam walk down, right? He's on the edge. Well, he knows he's going to come here and help that dude block that defender that needs to be double teamed at the point of attack. Does that make sense? If I want to bring him from the other side, I would just say rip 24 duo, right? Rip combo, rip duo. Okay. So the rip would be, now he's going to come across and he's going to block, right? And they've always got the outside half of the man. And the reason why is I want them on the outside half is because if they spark, they're going to get into the guy. Does that make sense? If they spark, they're going to get into the line if the line's carrying to the right. So we zone block, right? We run zone blocking. But duo, sometimes you got an end that's really crashing hard. That spark is killing you, right? So he's coming around the corner. Now I've got I got him right now, and my back came around the corner and he's going to push him off. Does that make sense? So it just gives me another level of protection that I can get to if I need it at any time, right? So that's it. Go ahead.
Sorry, what about that type of tag? Have you ever tagged something like that for a quick jab of that crashing end, and then they go out into their pattern for the passing concept?
Yeah, and so I'll show you that, right? So let me jump out.
Because that's probably, if I'm thinking about that now, that's probably a tag that I could use a lot, because what I find I've been struggling with the last couple of years, but last year we did better, was these ends that would come in hard and they would break up any type of perimeter screen that we were trying to run. They just bat it down. We were better at defending that last year by telling our tackles to basically drive them.
Right.
But, that means that you can't run a regular pass route, because he's liable to drive them past the 2 yards or whatever.
Yeah, you get them too deep, man. They'll run them, 4 or 5 yards deep if you let them. You got a good back.
Yeah, exactly, which happens. So,
yeah.
But this way, the guy could come in,
like a crack block.
Yeah, jab real quick or whatever, just do something real quick, and then hit his hitch or whatever.
So my term for that is arrow, right? So I'm just running an arrow. It's just, and I'll show you that here in a second. Okay. I'm gonna just go over a couple more movements. And that way you kind of get a handle, because I'm teaching you guys what I do, right? And then I'm gonna see what you guys do, and then I'll show you an example of what you do, how I would call it. Does that make sense? Okay. That way we're all talking the same football, because I think that's the key. Everyone needs to have the same understanding about what we're trying to teach and what you're trying to get accomplished with a system. Like, doesn't matter what system you use, how you use it, what your terms are, it needs to be easily repeatable and easily teachable, right? So like here, what would you think would happen if my formation call is 456? What would you think I would get?
Somebody's going to occupy this left shoulder of the quarterback, right?
Yeah, you're almost gonna have 3 backs.
Right. Yeah. So four's going to be there, but I would put him over that. If I did, it's going to do what Ace was doing, and it's going to make me mad. So I'm just going to put him to the side right there. Right. Okay. So he would be the first guy that could get there the quickest. So Green would go there, right? Because I don't want to mess with my receivers, just like Jason said. I mean, my X and Z is going to stay on the line, right? Or Coach Jolly said that they're going to stay on the line, right? So who would populate the 6?
Yellow.
Right. Okay. So now I got a diamond, veer, inverted, wishbone, whatever you want to talk about, right? So now I got that formation, and I'm just 456. That's my formation, right? Okay. But what if I said 45, right? And then I said yellow 9.
You go outside there.
Right. So he's just gonna go out there and he's gonna be at the 9, right? He's off or on, doesn't matter. We can call lights, right? If I want to bring him in motion, we just tell him, off or on. Does that make sense? If I wanted to bring the purple in motion, I would do lights. And then I could say, Liz, purple Liz, whatever, right? Anytime, and what you got to realize is once you teach them that the only guy that can move is the guy that's off, all you got to say is Liz, right? So if I say Liz 3, what do you think would happen?
Yellow's going to go all the way across.
All the way across. And then he's going to go all the way across to the 3 location, right? Okay. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to give you an example here. Okay. Here's my base, right? So let's just say I wanted to run, 23 power. Okay. So the 2 is my blue back, as far as the number go, right? Power for me is a term that means a back, right? So someone in the backfield, in a back location 4, 5, or 6 is going through the point of attack. In this case would be the 3 hole, right? And he's going to power out anything that shows up there, right? So we teach him a power blocking technique, and that's what he uses when he gets there, right? That makes sense? Okay. So if I said here 23 power, okay, but I want to use my tight end because he's the better blocker, what would I say if I wanted like a power eye look kind of in the backfield? Does that make sense? Right?
Liz
So I would
4,
say who 4?
Liz 4, or yellow 4.
Yellow 4. There you go. Right. So now my formation's yellow 4, right? And then my call is 23 power. Okay. Does that make sense?
So would they line up this way, or would they
They would line up that way.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the play goes and hits off, right? Okay. We run that play and I get 5 yards out of it. Okay. Well, if I want to just flip it and I want to say 22 power, what do you think would happen? My next play call, what do you think would happen if I only want to say one thing to change the flip side or whatever? You know what I'm saying? I just gave it away, but I mean,
Flip.
I just say flip, right? I just say flip, right?
Yeah.
If I was running 23 power over here, if I say flip, I'm running 22 power. So now all he's going to do is move over here. Now, see, I grab that 4 again. I put him right on top. That's my dumbest. So, he's just going to flip, right? So the flip is another term for me. And all it means is I'm changing one side to the other.
Yeah,
We're
we
just
use the same
changing the
thing.
play.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the only person's job that's going to change is the only person, right, that makes it flip. So what people make that play flip? Yellow and blue. Right?
Say that one more time.
What people make that play flip? Like if I call shallow, right, 23 power, okay. Remember, when I call a concept, I stay in the concept. That means everyone's job stays the same unless I tell you you're doing something different, okay? So in this case, we talked about my shallow play. This guy runs what?
You run the shallow.
The shallow
This guy runs what?
Corner.
Corner. Okay. So this guy runs swing, arrow, bubble, right? So let's just look at his arrow. Like if I needed to get, ridiculous, I could say arrow right here with him. Okay. That's arrow right. Does that make sense? So if I had a blue that was stupid, and I'm using that term like facetiously, right? And I had to tell him every single time what his assignment was. every play I call would be swing, arrow, or bubble, because that arrow takes me to 23 power. I don't even have to tell that kid 23 power. That arrow tells him this is his path. Now I have, when I teach what the arrow route is, there's an assignment that goes with it when I teach it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to what Coach Jolly asked. How do you get this guy to block the edge, block the corner, right? And I said I would call what? Arrow left or arrow right, okay? And I got another slide that's got defense up here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. But that would be a term for me, right? Okay, so now the yellow here, right? He runs a what? A dig. Okay, so his dig looks like this, right? That's his dig. Okay, now power is a term, okay? But what does that mean? Okay, it means I'm going to go through the hole and I'm going to power out anything in the hole, because what I tell my guys, every single passing concept, every single passing route has a job. You're going to block the guy that is in your route. So it's either in your stem or at the end of your route or somewhere in between the route. If you encounter somebody, you're going to block him. Does that make sense? So now let's just say the reason why I called this 22 power is, you know, I need to power out the mic that's walked down into that 2 hole that I'm fixing to run into, right? There's no question about who yellow is going to block and what his path is in that scenario, is there? So
No, but
go ahead.
what about, let's say they're in a one tech there, and that Mike is in the, for, you know, lack of a better term, the 4 hole, you know, he's coming up, he's in the B gap.
Okay.
That's who the yellow guy's gonna block.
Right.
But what's the line doing at that point? They're running power?
They're running power, right? So we
Okay.
down and out, right? So you're going to split the waters. So anything to the inside, we take the inside pair. If you had, we look for pairs. We look for a pair of linebackers to the right. We look for an inside pair of linebackers or outside pair of linebackers. And that's how I teach it. And I think the kids pick it up easier that way, because if you have a 4-2, right, you just have 2 outside pairs normally. If they come in and play 20s, you got 2 inside pairs. So if you're like, your ace blocks are the guard in the center, right? They're always going to be responsible for the inside pair. Doesn't matter which side they're on, which way you're running is going to dictate which pair they take. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's how I teach it. Okay. So we're either taking the inside pair or the outside pair. If you run zone, it's the same thing. Okay. The only way zone would differ is if you have a, like a Sam outside the tackle or outside the end and an extra. And I'll show you that here in a second. Okay. In that case, we block veer. So all my play calls would be veer because my track is different. Okay. My zone tracks are down the line of scrimmage and then depth. My veer tracks are across the line of scrimmage and then width. Okay. So that's how I teach it, right? Because if you look at the zone track is always across the line of scrimmage and you're always trying to get your head across. If you look at the zone track, right, it's always to stretch it and then climb, okay? Either way, you're still making a 3-step decision. It don't matter. It's how you teach it, what's easy for you and what you can replicate. I'm not going to tell you guys how to teach, right? I'm just going to, give you an example of how I would call it if we were doing it this way. Does that make sense? Okay. So once you get your terms in, you're still teaching football. I mean, I'm not shortcutting any teaching of your football. You're still going to have to teach them how to run their tracks in zone when you're running zone. You're still going to how to teach them shallow, 3 yards deep. What's your release look like on a shallow? How deep is your dig? Are you building in 1-2-step releases? I mean, all that stuff you still got to teach. You got to teach football, right? Don't shortcut any of that. But if you make the terms simple and you make them repeatable every time and you're not changing it every time, the rules become easier for you to teach too, right? So the biggest shortcuts that I've found while teaching all my concepts and all my plays, right? Because remember, you're the smartest dude in the room. You're the coach. You have to beat a 12, 14, 16, 18-year-old kid, right? You don't have to, I mean, when you get up to the higher levels, you got to beat the coach too and the kids. But I mean, for the most part, you still just have to beat the kids. You know what I'm saying? And so if you know what you need and you can get any kid to what you need right now, based off of what you just called, something happened funny, I need to fix it, but I can't get out of the play. I just need a tag. Like I need to move green over here to 7 and call arrow left and block that kid on the edge, and I still got to play. Does that make sense? That's what this was predicated on. That's what this was built for, right? The rest of it, the other shortcuts, man, they're just built in. It's like, once you start using it, again, the hardest thing to do is stop using it, right? It's like I can tag dagger on the right, shallow on the left, or I can tag goes on the right, dagger on the left, or I can tag, what I'm saying? When you start getting into it, flood on the right, snag on the left, smash on the left, you can mix it up, right? As long as your kids know those concepts and what they are, it's just up to you to make sure that you're getting what you need. Okay. So the biggest thing for me, the thing that really increased the output of the offenses that we teach is the blocking assignments are attached to the passing routes. Like don't call Y cross, right? And run GT counter out of it to the same side you're crossing to, right? I mean, run away from it, run stretch right, Y cross to the left, right? So now you got a split of the defense. They got to take one side or the other, right? If you're running everything to this side, it's going to be hard for your quarterback to sort it, right? And you're wondering why he can't make that progression read is because everything's moving to the left and he's rolling to the left and he can't find his guy where he throws a pick, something like that. Those are things that you won't have happen when you start trying to build in your play route, passing, blocking into your run game. And it may seem tough to begin with, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. And it's super easy. And then now when you're just tagging stuff, I'm just tagging something to get a block that I need to break this play open. Right. And that's where I'm at, and dude, I love it. I mean, I'm like, man, I can call anything at any time. I got 4 concepts that I run. I run flood, pop, snag, and and shallow. And that's it. I flip them and I run combos out of them, and then I'll tag the hell out of it if I need to. But it's always only one guy getting tagged. Okay. Just one guy. So there's a couple other things I need to talk about before we, kind of move to the next couple slides here. The jobs don't change, right? So we talked about that. And then the tag can be anything, right? It can be a term or it can be a location on the field. Okay. So if I want to build trips left here, what would I do? How could I do it? Just give me a couple ways you guys can think of to build trips left over here in any configuration. Like, if you want to spread them out further, just tell me what you guys would do. I mean, to see if we're all talking about the same thing. Right?
Trips to the left, you said?
Yeah.
Would be Liz, let's say Liz 1 or Liz 0.
There you go. Now, the only guy that can move would be who?
Yellow.
Okay. So, and Liz is the term that tells him he can go across. Now, what if I don't want to do a pre-snap motion and I just want to shift, like before the play starts, everything goes? What would I say?
Yellow 2.
Yellow 2. That's it. That's my formation. Yellow 2. Yeah. So if I call yellow 2, boom, right before the play starts, he goes right here. Now you could call it trips, you could call it tray, you could call it whatever you want, right? But how many terms do you want to keep track of? How many formations do you want to keep track of? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The hardest thing for little kids to remember are names of things and but they can tell me where number 2's at. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got that. Okay. Now, if I say, and I'm not saying I don't have names, because I do have names for formations and stuff, right? But this is my base. From my base, I can get to anywhere. So if we ran a play, right? Let's just say we ran shallow. That's my favorite play, right? I ran shallow. The ball's set. I'm lining up just like this, that fast. Now I can rip off shallow again. I can tag one receiver to do something else and rip off shallow. I can tag one side or the other to do something, right, and run shallow. But if I'm going to stay in this formation and I'm not going to shift or move, I give them this signal, which is a safe, right? I do the safe, right? This is safe. That's safe. Safe at home. That's the signal they get, okay? So that means no one's moving right now. We're just going to run the play again, all right? Another signal I do for that is just repeat it, travel, just keep it going, keep it going. I may run shallow again, okay? I may run it 5-6 times in a row, because here's why. Remember we talked about that blue back right there? What's his 3 routes every single play?
Swing, bubble, and an arrow, right?
Swing, arrow, bubble, right? So he can run a swing, it looks different, right? He could run a bubble, it looks different, right? And he could run an arrow right or left, and that's going to look different. No matter what concept you call over here on the left or the right, if he's adding himself into that play concept, it's always going to be a flood type concept. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
At that point, at that pistol position, what's the difference between a swing and a bubble from where?
Okay.
Well, while you're drawing that too, I guess I'll add on to what Charlie said, because you said that he chooses which one he's running.
They can, yes.
What determine? Well, I guess my question would be, what would determine whether he runs a swing or a bubble? Maybe you already covered that, missed it. But what would determine that? Like
the defense.
The defense,
right?
of the
Yeah, the defense. And so we read the overhangs. We're always going to tag the overhang defenders, okay? And I'll show you a picture of that here in a second. But we're always going to tag the outside 2, right? And we're always going to try to find a weak safety. If they're in a cover 3 shell, we're going to pick which side we want the weak safety to be, and we're going to pick which side we want the mic to be, right? So if we're running to the right and we want to drop the mic, we're always going to tag the mic to the right. If we're running to the left and we want to drop the mic, we're always going to tag him to the left. It doesn't matter if the wheel's over there. It doesn't matter if they move around. It doesn't matter any of that, because I'm setting the location of mic every single play, just like they do in the NFL, right? You know what I'm saying? And what it becomes is you're not having to teach a right side concept, the left side concept. You're not having to teach all this extra crap. Like if I want to run to the right, who has to be the mic if I'm running to the right? That dude right there. That's a mic. He's right there. Now, we're always going to kick the end and read the overhang. If they got 6, right, we're going to have 6. We're going to run still. If they bring 7, we're passing automatically. I mean, those are just rules that I go by as a coach that, you know, I just kind of live by. There's 5 in the box, we're running all day, right? I mean, it's just, those are the terms that I use, and I kind of dictate what I want based off of the formation that I got. So the swing, arrow, bubble, they all have their, they have rules that go with them. Okay. So the swing, a swing route is always going to get as much width as possible, and he's going to try to always get 2 steps outside of the number 1 receiver to the side he releases to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way I've got it drawn there, that's a swing, okay? A bubble can be anywhere between the end of the line of scrimmage and the number 2, okay? If he's in the backfield, okay? An arrow is always going to be the end man of the line of scrimmage if I'm in the interior, right? And there's another rule and I'll show you. I got 2 rules. One's called Cobra and the other one's called Straw. And then it's always going to be through him and behind him. Okay, so the arrow is going to be through him and behind him. Okay, and I'll get to another slide here in just a second. So the arrow route always is as straight as possible. We're not taking any zigzag releases, anything. It's just straight there, right? Okay. So in this case, this arrow right here out of this, if I ran shallow, this could also look like stretch right, right? Outside zone, that's the path, right? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's the path that I want him on. So if I'm teaching it there, I just shortcutted another, teaching of outside zone. This is my track. This is where I'm going. Now, just like blocking, you may determine your path for the back based off of the 1 to the 2, how you read it, how you guys teach it. I don't know. Right. But what I always say is, if I have an end on the overhang out there, I'm going to aim through the V of his neck. If he's inside, I'm going outside. If he's way outside, I'm going inside. Just again, keep it simple. Okay. But my arrow path is always going to be the same. It's going to be the back right heel of the tackle. Okay. That's my path. If he's out there and I got wide splits, I got a 3 and a 2, I've got, 8 yards of gap in there. That's a pretty weird looking arrow. It's more flat, right? Does that make sense? His path would be more flat like that. All this stuff's live, so sorry, it hooked to it. Yeah, I just got to delete it to get rid of it. But okay, so his path would be a little flatter, if that makes sense, right? So his arrow path is going to be more, out here like this. See what I'm saying? Right? If we were really trying to get it tight, we could get it in there. Okay. Otherwise, that's his path. Okay?
Jason,
Yeah, man.
when you're running corner and stick, are you swinging your back? Are you
Yeah, they're always swings. They're always swings for us.
and you don't have that problem of those ends causing you problems?
Well, we what we did is I don't know if you remember seeing one of my last videos where we talked about our last game. We had the defense would run if they defensive end saw us swinging to that side. The defensive end would disengage and run with the back, and they would replace with one of the outside linebackers. So that kind of threw us for a loop, first half. But then after that, our adjustment was to do a pre-snap motion, where we would motion away from it, or we would motion the back. We'd have the back start on one side and motion to the other side. So we kind of just threw them off because they were pre-snapping us, and okay, hey, they're running some sort of concept to this side because back from this side. So we would just switch it, or sometimes we use it as a decoy. So that was our adjustment.
Right. So Mackey was talking at some point that he runs that, what Deason's saying, that arrow now. He goes that from the get-go to get them in that thing, but instead of running up, he obviously runs it to the flat. And I was trying to figure out why he was doing that. And I wonder if it's because of
I kind
his
of like
problem with problems at the end.
the reason I stay with the swing is I kind of like Caltharp's explanation, right? The swing creates more distance or more space from the ball carrier and the nearest defender. And the more space there is, then the more chances that defender has to miss. So I liked his explanation by that. I said, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to stick with that.
Well, I mean, I've been running swings, but I'm looking at this arrow and I was like, man, I might just tell that guy, hey man, go to the flat plate. Why don't you run through that guy real quick?
Yeah.
Can you guys see this shallow?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got it.
Okay. All right. So here's my base shallow, right? This is my base offense right here. This is my, like, the first play of the game, I run this. I may run it out of trips, right? I may run some motion with it. Just depends on, what I'm getting, right? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll line up trips right to get them a little wider than normal. Does that make sense? So my Z would be out here at 00. My Y would be actually the top of the numbers. And, I'd have green or H. I may go empty. Does that make sense? And he'd be out there at 7. And then I'm just going to send someone a motion, because right there, right away, again, I figure out what they do, who's got the number 2, who's got my number 3, how do they handle motion, how do they handle trip set. You see what I'm saying? First play of the game, I already know how they're going to control a 3-man surface. I just get that out of the way. Does that make sense? And I'll do the same thing on the left side. I may run stack on the left and still run shallow. I'm crazy like that, man. I don't know. To me, this play gets me everything I need to know about the defense, because if they're in cover 2 shells, you're going to know, are they playing quarters? Is that going to be their base for the day? Or are they playing 0? You're going to figure it out real quick, right? I have what I call a breaker series that I run in my first 8 plays, no matter what. And it's either funky or wide formations or something else, but I run shallow out of it. And that's just what I do, right? That's how I do it. You know, I'm not saying you guys should do it that way or whatever, but that's what I do. Okay. So here's just a base play, day 1 teaching, shallow. This is it. Okay. Now let's just say that this is the guy that you're talking about, Coach Jolly, right? He walks down and he's screaming around the corner and he's busting up your mesh, or he's getting to your quarterback before he can get anything done, right? Or he's dropping. Go ahead.
What he's doing, and it's like different teams. Once they get a beat on what we're doing, those ends will just come hard, and they're beating our tackles before they can get set.
Yeah.
So the tackles are engaging with them, but they're already in the track. So we can't throw a bubble. We can't throw our flares. We can't throw our swings. They just bat it down.
Yeah. They're there. They're already in your path, right?
Correct. So it's not like they're coming in and knocking my quarterbacks down. They're knocking the ball down because they're exactly
right there.
Yeah.
Right. And if he was over here and he's in your swing now.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay. So the tags for that I get is arrow left, right? Or arrow right. Like if I'm running that concept into him. All right. So here's one thing you can do, right? Is you can take this route here and you can just go arrow left. God dang it. Right there. That's my arrow. Okay. So here's the rule for my arrow route. It's called straw. Okay. We're going to run straight through and right at the window. STRAW, right? Straight through, right at the window. We're going to run straight through that guy. The window is behind him, right? And we're going to try to go right through it. Okay. Right through the middle of the guy, take him out, right? If he disappears, now I'm replacing that. Now we got just a straight RPO glance right there. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Only thing that's stopping that is this guy right here. He starts screaming down, or Mike stays home.
Yeah.
Right?
So I don't know about Ross and the other guys at the middle school level. I don't think we have to worry about that aspect of it, other than I get the problems in the box area.
Right.
You know, like you'll get the both A gap blitz or those ends. We did a pretty good job of managing it last year, but it was really, I don't want to call them tags, but it was like we were like adjusting.
You get that? So
yeah.
One high, which basically it's like almost like a 6-7 man box, really.
Yeah. So you get this. He's walked down, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
we would have him run through, and then it's kind of he could still run his route, but it's kind of like a Y cross at that point.
Right.
But what I like about that is it I'm all about getting physical with these ends, because they it's been like 3 or 4 teams, and it's middle school. It's not like they're swapping film on us, they're just all doing it. And I think if we had something like this, I could just say, hey, arrow, and then that guy is like, okay, I'm gonna get to the same place in the end of the play. I'm gonna get the flats, or I'm gonna run the dig, but I'm gonna run through this guy first. I got some guys that would love to do it, because I've never thrown the dig on shallow. Personally.
Yeah, most people don't, right? So I'm a big advocate of, like, if you get to I don't know if you guys did the air raid course or whatever and got all the film, and you can have the whole library shallow, but like if you got the shallow, there's probably 60, 80 cuts in there, right? Stop the film at the top of the drop, right? 3-step drop, shotguns, they may go 5, don't matter. Whenever the quarterback gets to the top of the drop, stop the film. Look at the damn shallow. That shallow is wide open, and we're still looking at the post and the dig. It's like I've completely got off of reading it post dig shallow, right? I just said it at the first of this video. I read post dig shallow, just like everyone else. When I start it, that's where I'm at. Okay. My quarterback's eyes are going to be there for the glance for that post, just in case we can get an alert and hit it, right? We're going to hit it on the stem as just a vert, right? We can get that. We do it a lot. Okay. But the rest of the time, my quarterback's, he's on it and he's popping his feet to the left and he's ripping it. And we're hitting the shallow right there at the stem, right there. I mean, right in between, right at that X marks the spot, dude. We're right on it. And dude, we can hit it 15 out of 15 times, you know, but then they'll start moving their guys around, you know, they'll bring, you know, they'll pop the wheel out here, or they'll play trap, or they'll play, you know, something funny. They'll just play man on demand over there. You'll get some kind of modern mix, or they'll play cut, you know, and they'll start trying to jump that route. Well, when they do that, we just hit them over the top. You know, I mean, it's that simple. Or we'll put the back in the arrow left here, you know, so like we'll send him right there just like that. So there's another level of, you know, we'll get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, is that since we've never thrown to the dig, I think that's going to be my my straw guy, whatever you call it, like straight through, you know, just say, chip this guy on your way out to your route, because that would help a lot of these issues that we're having, because the flares and the swings are a big part of what we try to do. And when that gets taken away, it's super frustrating.
Yeah. So the other thing I do is we got a term we call push, you know, push motion or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just push them. I start pushing the back, right? Or I'll line up in like 56. So this looks like this. So now look at, here's shallow, right? Okay. So my dig is there, you know, and I'm just going to leave the stem of the route. For some reason, just play. I haven't figured out how to add an extra part of that route to that stem. Does that make sense? Okay. But there's my deal, right? Okay. So now, how easy is it to get this guy to do push motion, right? And tell him to get to 8, right? Okay. If I got an aim point, now here's where it gets powerful, right? So I can say yellow, right? Push 8. So now he's going to go pre-snap motion. He's going to run out all the way to 8. And when he gets to about 7.5, quarterback's going to snap the ball. And then now he's going to run his route. Okay, let's just say I tagged him on the arrow right there, right? So he's going to run. Excuse me. Sorry. He's going to run out here, right? He did his pre-snap motion. He went from there. He came out. He got here. He's going to cut up the field. And now he's going to run his arrow right. What do you got there?
You got a flood or something.
Right. You got flood and you got like a smash concept too, right? Makes sense. If you look here, you got snag 1, 2, 3 right there, triangle,
Yeah.
right? High, low with the extra low. You see what I'm saying? So not only, okay, so here you got this. Now, who does this guy take? Push motion tells you he should probably take him, right? Does that make sense? Now you're pulling him out. This guy's going to come screaming down in your flats here. Now what's wide open?
The shallow.
Yeah. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
The shallow, that man at our level, shallows, if he doesn't get caught up in the middle, he's usually open.
Like, so the biggest conflicts you always get is who's got the flat, right? And then who's got the intermediate, you know, who's got the hook to curl if there's 2 in the flat. Like, what's this corner doing now? You know, if he's playing his third, he's going to be back here. He's not going to be down there, right? If he's playing the flat, you're going to get these 2 guys on that, right? That's going to be wide open. This guy's probably coming down trying to protect that. So you got rotation here. That just goes to the seam. Right?
In that regard, sorry about that. In that regard, like you were talking about those adjustments there, and then obviously you tag, like say for example, you tag green on that corner, right?
Right.
Is that telling the quarterback you're throwing green no matter what?
If I know that I've ran this and we get this, some kind of confusion and he is the rotator, absolutely. I'll tag it and then we know we're throwing it. Like, so again, I'm going to read post. I'm going to stay on it, pull the safety. As soon as the safety moves, I'm ripping the seam.
Gotcha.
I mean, you know, as an example here, like, okay, let's just say that we did this over here. So what they do, they auto here, right? So now they're bringing Will from the backside. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So they see we do this a couple times. I'm going to start ripping the wheel. You know, I'll bring him down here tight. I don't care. Right now, my corner's in an impossible situation because I just lost the weak safety. You know, I mean, here he's the will. You know, either way, he's a linebacker, unless he is a weak safety. Right? You see what I'm saying? Now, if he's not covering that, you know, and he's coming, if they've checked into it, and I'm running shallow, I mean, it's an impossible situation for them on either side this way.
Jason,
Right.
you getting a lot of that Will trying to split the difference between your slot, your left slot guy? That's what I get a lot.
No, they're pretty much just they're head up, pretty much
wow.
more slightly inside. Yeah, and it looks like man, but it's just like it's a soft zone, really.
So here's what I've been teaching, and I don't know what other guys teach defensively, is like if I'm running here, I kind of keep this like a bracket, and I teach it as the divide rule. Okay, so if I got two, I want to be outside of the two here, the pair, right? And these two guys play the inside outside of it. If he comes to the inside, I carry him inside and he gets deep. If he goes to the outside, I carry him outside and he gets deep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of
Making it like wall, you know, just divide that. And I found that we can take care of a lot of stuff better that way on both sides of the ball against 2 and 3 man concepts. And I don't have to get deep into teaching like a quarters or match, you know, Ripley's match, something like that. If I'm trying to teach cover 7 to kids that have never seen it, you know, at 7th and 8th grade, it can be very difficult, you know, and to get the rotation right can be even harder. So, you know, what I've come to, you know, teach is that any fast 3 motion or something like that, the middle or the outside linebacker is going to run to the wall, and then he's going to carry the first thing inside if he comes inside. And you know, so we just kind of make it like a divider wall, and we try to bracket. In this case, it'd be these two. So if they go to the outside, the corner's got him, goes to the inside. So we play it kind of like a boxed quarters concept. First inside low, first outside deep, first inside low, first inside deep. And, you know, if you can kind of work your concepts around that, I think there's a lot of defensive coaches that are kind of doing that right now. And that's what, you know, that's what you're ending up with trying to battle, right? Is if you get a team that has taught that well, then you're getting, you know, this scenario can be a pain in the ass all night, right? But if you got the right tag for it, or you got an easy way to tag something to get there, to get your guy in there, it's simple. I mean, you can find a way to take care of it, right? So the other thing I do is here's another example, right? Okay, so let's just say I'm going to delete these words here. You guys seen them, right?
Yeah.
The numbers. We don't need them right this second, so it's just going to help me move around a little bit better here. Okay. All right. So the other thing I do would be like this guy and this guy. Okay. So I'm going to pull him back over here. And let's just say that's his route. Now we've tagged yellow, right? Arrow. So I'm just going to say 6 arrow, right? But let's just say that they walked something down and you know, got this and got some rotation here, and he's playing tight on him, right? Let's just say we think he's in man. Okay. Now, if I call rip 7, what do you think would happen?
Green's gonna go motion.
Okay, so Green's going to go in motion, and he's going to go in motion pre-snap. Okay, so we know we're still in shallow. Everybody else has still got shallow. The only 2 guys that have tags on them right now is yellow, right? He's got arrow right, so I got 6 arrow, and then I got rip 7. Okay, now I'm not going to change his route. Okay, makes sense. So I don't have to call another tag. I'm not going to change his route, but I just called rip 7. So pre-snap, he's going to take off running. He's going to come across. God dang it, that didn't work out like I needed it to. That was supposed to all come together, right? Okay, here we go. So he's going to come across, he's going to get to the 7 location. We're going to say, play fast, set hut. He's going to hike it right now. He's going to run his corner route, not the post, because his route is the corner, right? So what is that concept right there?
That's like a scissors or a snag or something.
617 switch, right? There you go. Now I still taught shallow. I haven't taught my kids switch. They don't even know what switch is. Now I can teach them switch, and I can teach them the principles of switch and how to run switch and what I'm looking for and all that other stuff. I can do that because I'm a good coach, right? But did I have to? Nope. Because it's built into the route already. That's his job, man. We're running shallow. That's his job. Okay.
So, okay, since you would do something like that now, how does the progression change with the quarterback? Does it change at all?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Why? Why would it change? I still got post.
I'm just curious because now
Yeah.
because obviously the I guess you say responsibility of the defense may change a little bit because now you got 2 receivers that one side plus the run back. Essentially it's almost like a trip. I don't want to say it's a trip to that side, but in a way it is because you got those 3 receivers going to occupy that one spot of the field for the most part. So now you're with a corner concept, it almost turns. I mean, I understand you're running shallow, but it almost turns into a corner concept here in a way where I'm looking at it, and the way I teach corner is I'm going to read that corner, that cornerback first, and if he bails, then I come off that corner, then I leave that alone. Then I would have, it would either be, the post would be too deep for the read, but then it would go. We read the yellow, so basically, you just be watching that cornerback. If that cornerback bails, then we hit Y or yellow on that arrow, and it's almost similar to a snag concept, I guess you would say. That's how it would change for us a little bit. Is now you know what I mean?
Yeah. But imagine how it's changing for the defense, right? So that rotation right there that I just went through would have to happen perfectly in order for them to cover that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you didn't do nothing. You haven't taught anything else other than shallow, brother. You taught shallow, arrow right. That's it. The rest of the shallows, the only other thing that's not the typical shallow play here would be the back swinging to the same side. So in my play terminology and how I teach this would be drive switch, right? Because the drive part of it would be the back going the same way as the shallow, right? And then the switch part is obviously this 2-man concept. The only different thing here, right? The only tagged different thing here is the Y. And that's your high-low stress on your corner, making it even worse on that corner. Like you want to tear a corner up all night long, run switch with arrow right and a swing right to the same side, right? Or run, like if I run bubble here with the Y, like if I tag bubble on that, he's going to go halfway in between those two, the same deal, right? So now I got a seamer that I can put in there, right? So now you got, if you just think about this, if I called that bubble, right, and his rule is to run that seam, okay, now you got 2 switch concepts and a divide on the safety.
Yeah, see, I've run that as a play though.
Yeah.
But that was years ago, but that works at our level too. It's just I like building it through tags is interesting.
And so that's what I do, so now let me see if it'll let me exit out of here. There's a print feature, and I'll just show you kind of some of I just threw these in here. I got a bunch, right? So this is just my offense passing. This is just a presentation I do. My playbook's totally different, right? Okay. So you can see, okay, it looks different. And this is just swing arrow bubble for blue, right? And then all I do is move the blue around. So now I've got blue 6 here as an example. Can you guys still see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so blue 6, that's what that play looks like with that bubble. He's going to run 2 steps outside. He's going to replace the Y. right there. This is right, what I call right. Okay. So you remember I said safe here, right? Okay. If I'm in safe and I start tagging it, if I just say blue 6 or blue right, and I haven't changed anything, I haven't gave him any other tag, he's going to continue running swing, arrow, bubble, whichever one that the first play concept was. So I may call shallow arrow left. Okay. So now that we're in, that's the first play that I called was shallow arrow left. We're going to stay in shallow arrow left the whole time. Okay. Until I make a different concept call or I make a different tag call. So I could say flood. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Any movement that I get is either going to be a color or a number. That's it. Rip or Liz, left or right. That's it. Push or tear. Okay. Push and tear are the same thing. The two differences is push is a slower motion. It's a more of a deliberate, hey, who's going to go with me out here? Right. And tear is I'm tearing my ass out as fast as I can to get out there to that point, my exit point, and that's where I'm going. So if I say tear 7, he's, you know, and we're in our 22 pistol, that's our base formation, that's what we're going to call it. He's going to run as fast as he can out towards the 7 location, and the quarterback's going to snap the ball as fast as he can before he gets there, because now he's going to run his swing, arrow, bubble, whichever the call was, right? If we're in base, it's always going to be swing. If we're tagged out to arrow or bubble, that will be it, right? Okay. They're going to run that play. They're going to come line up and they're going to wait for a tag, or the quarterback and the back will communicate to which play they want. And they know the order. Does that make sense? So we may go swing, bubble, arrow. We may go swing, arrow, bubble. We may go swing 6, arrow, right? There's an order that they have, and that's based on the script. They always know the first 4 plays. Even the little kids will do it, right? I got 8-year-old kids right now that we're teaching 7-on-7 and this, and they do it like clockwork, man. I mean, they love it. I mean, sometimes I just let them go play ball. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But once you get it in, man, you see it's easy to do, and it's easy, really easy to work. So, you know, so here we go. All this looks, you know, it's all bubble. So this is right. This will be what bubble looks like from 7, from 8, you know, now you got trips. Now we're going to do the same thing to the left, you know, bubble left, bubble here, right? So now he's at 4, blue 4. That's just the call. And I'm running shallow, blue 4, right? Blue left. We're running shallow. He's in the bubble, right? Same thing here, blue 3. See what I'm saying? You can put him anywhere, however you want. The same thing goes with any other kid. If I say green 3, he's just going to move over 2 feet, you know, or 6 feet, 2 yards, right? If I tell him blue left, he's going to go over here. From that location, he's going to populate the left. If I tell him blue right, he's going to start over here on the right. You see what I'm saying? Green right. Any way you do it, he's just moving to that location. So here's what arrow looks like. Swing, arrow, bubble with this guy. Build trips. You can build it, right? You can tag it how you want. I mean, right. You guys know how to play ball, right? There's nothing revolutionary here. The only thing that I would say that, you know, where it becomes special is being able to tell them where their assignment's going to start, right? And I'll go back to the numbers 0 through 10. Like, they got to know where that's at, right? Because if I'm calling left here, blue left, and then we're running bubble out of this, you know, he's got to know that that's left. Okay. Now I've got wing formations. We got Bronco. I got trips. I got Trey. I got Indy right and left. All of those are different formations, and those are different starting points, right? Okay. If we're not in a called formation for the starting point, we're always going to go to 22 pistol, and then we're going to get a look at the defense before we call the next part of our play. If we like it, if we're in flood, we may stay in flood. If we're in shallow, we may stay in shallow. If we're in Y cross, we may stay in Y cross. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only time I'm tagging something and moving it is I absolutely have to take advantage of something that the defense is doing or counter, what they're trying to do to me, based off of the play that I'm running. Right.
Yeah. Same here. Absolutely.
Yeah. Does that make sense? I mean, is that pretty simple?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I still got a couple questions. The one question I do have, because you did a video about this with Lasker a while back, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching it. It was good stuff. I was kind of curious if you could email me. I think it was the first slide you showed, where it was just the numbers. And then so that I can link that out, because I'm sure there's gonna be some guys that are gonna want that, because that's good stuff. Leading into that, my next question would be, because if you watch some of my videos, I always revert back to this, but with time, especially with us, where I coach, time is not something we have. You know what I mean? Like I get them day one of school starting, and we're starting, and we got, essentially, if we're lucky, without any kind of weather problems, 13 practices, and we're playing game one.
Yeah.
We're going, and that includes having to have a 5-day tryout too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, where some of the guys that are around here, they got the kids in the spring, they got some time in the summer, and I'm like, I don't have all that time. I mean, I'm lucky if I'm able to virtually, get them over the summer to kind of just put some stuff in. So, I'm trying to find things as simple as possible, because trying to time crunch as much as I possibly can. So that's one thing that I'm looking for.
Okay, so I'll go back to, I'm trying to upload this video here, or this picture that I've got, and I'll show you the cones that I put out, and I just stretch it out all the way across the field. Every time I teach a play, and every time we teach a concept, right, we have these laid out on the field. Okay, and if we go to the middle of the field, we teach from the middle. Obviously, you can teach from the right and left. Now we do periods where we go, we lay it out in the middle, then we just go down the field, moving from left half to right half, all the way down into the end zone, and then we turn around and go back the other way, right? And we do that 50 yards. We only move 5 yards at a time. And we go through scripts that way. We go through plays that way. We go through formations like that. And I change formations every 5 yards. So when I'm teaching base formations, I may have, let's just say for the install day, and again, I'm using 10 minutes of practice time here. For the install day, I'm going to run early, late, and blue and green, right? Those are my 4 formations. So I'm going to go 50 yards every 5 yards all the way to the end zone, blue, late, early, green, right? Late, blue, green, early, late, green, green. You know what I'm saying? Left, right, middle, right, left, right, middle, left. Just keep them moving around, okay? Then I do the same thing. After I do that, it only takes a couple minutes to make it down there. You're calling the play as it goes, right? Because you want them to be moving quickly. You're calling it as you go. So we line up, we get up there. Let's just say I'm 22 pistol, or like that. The next line, we say down, set, hut. Quarterback hikes the ball. He throws it out there to the right. We go to the next 5 yard line, and I'm saying trips right before they get there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And they're just going to get there, right? I mean, everybody does that. I don't know if everybody does that. Most people do it now.
I try to.
Yeah. But it's just something, if you do every day, you do during install week, it goes pretty quick, right? Okay. Then I do the same type period, and then I do my shifts: yellow 3, blue 6, green 8, red 4. I mean, anything you can think of to get to, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. They all know where the numbers are at.
And you're doing that's all installed. So
that's all
installed. Like day 1, 2, 3 for you.
Yes, every day. And it's like, because you're teaching it every day, your rip liz motions, all of that. If I'm installing a play, or we're working on a play, or any type of teaching of the play, I'm in front of the cones. Okay. And I just keep it that way, because if there's any question, they can look down and see it. And it's just a visual memory thing. Pretty soon, like, again, as you start traveling down there, dude, you teach it to them once, it's left to right. It's every 2.5 yards. If you can't figure that out, you need a different kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, 6, 7-year-old kids get it within a day.
Right.
We're running Rip Liz and everything else. The hardest thing to teach is which route they're running
Yeah.
the same time 50 times in a row. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the hardest thing to get to, but once they get it, they got it, and there's nothing, special that you have to do to keep bringing it up. So, yeah, let me see if I can get this. May just have to hold it up here on the camera and let you guys see it, but here's a picture. And again, they're a little bit bigger cones. I think we got a set of 20 of them for like $12 or something like that. But I've actually painted, let me see where my camera's at. You guys see those? I know you can't see them well, but
It would probably be better if you
yeah,
stop sharing screen and then do it that way. It would be a little bigger.
but it's like that. I mean, it's just those cones. And what I've done is I just painted it red, painted a red or blue, green, yellow, purple. And then I just numbered them, from 1 through 00. And then I got ace and pro left and right.
That's good stuff.
And, I just put them out there like that. So like, anything else you guys want to know right here? I mean, call a play for me. Like what's a play? Let me see if I can get to your play in like 2 or 3 words. Right.
Well, I mean, you want me to call the play with the tag involved?
No, just tell me what your play is, and then tell me what you think you would do to get there out of this system. Does that make sense?
Oh, well,
Something simple. And you can use shallow, but you're going to just a tag that you use in shallow. Does that make sense?
I was just going to use. I was going to use the one I talked about earlier, where it should be able to. Our ace formations are 2x2 set, but red and green are that's the way it is. And then on the other side, yellow is on, purple's off. So it's, it's inverted.
So it'd be just for me, right? It'd be switch right.
Okay.
Or lights right.
So we would call it I don't know, just we attach our inside zone off of it too. So we would go ace jet right zone left, and it would be our fake zone left. We'd have a signal for which one we wanted, which guy we wanted to have the ball. So if we're calling jet right, we would call jet right, and then we would have a signal for fake the zone. Okay, so let me just see if I'm tracking with you. So it would look something like this. You just said zone right? Yeah, so he's essentially offset, or no, zone left. Excuse me, zone left. Okay, we have him going opposite the jet. So he's gonna be 4 there. He's gonna be on the other side. He's gonna be on the right side of the quarterback. Okay. Yeah, he's gonna be 6. Right. Yeah, there you go. So this is a swing, right? That's where he's going. No, he's going in between guard center, right there. Right there. Okay, so that would be bubble, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So this would be 6, right? So if I'm running shallow, this would just be bubble. So we'd be in our bubble series, and then I'm just going to say blue 6, right? Because my blocking up front is going to stay the same, right? Now, if I needed to say something different, right, and I'm doing zone, right? If they know we're in bubble, we're more than likely running zones, right? Mm-hmm. Because again, most of the offense is built around the blue, the scat back being able to be the most lucrative guy that you got, right? That's the way this is set up for me. Okay? Well, for us, it would be probably our green. Okay, that's a guy we're going to be moving around quite a bit. We'll move in the backfield, switch ball around. He's probably our most dynamic guy. Yeah. Now, so our running back is a close second. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So in your case, like you're moving the green, it could be green 3, green right, green 4, green 5, right? So if you're in your green series and that's the guy that you're moving around and you're trying to get the ball to, as an example for me, if we were trying to get the ball to F in this case, let's just say he was another X, right? Or he was a all-purpose back or something, best guy you got, right? Going to get him in space. We're going to be in our green series shallow, okay? So now what that tells me is that every call that I make is only dictated to green unless I call a different color, okay?
So in other words, if I want rip right, it's the rip. Okay. If I say rip 7 and we're in the green series, who's going to rip 7? Green.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if what was his normal route, the corner? If the corner's good for me and I was trying to get to the corner, that would be good, right? Wouldn't have to tag him to tell him to do anything different. Okay. If I wanted him to run an arrow right because we're running that corner off and I'm going to kind of like a smash concept, you know, and I think I can high-low that corner and get to him right now,
Right.
then I'm going to say rip 7 arrow right. Right. Okay. Now we talked about, we know that we're in the green. Okay. Do I have to say green rip 7 arrow right?
You shouldn't have to.
No. So it's just rip 7, right?
Yeah.
If he's tagged, right, I would have to call arrow. So I can say rip 7 arrow. If I wanted it to go to the left, that's the only time I would call it left. Otherwise, the arrow is always, you know, outside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, we ran up, we lined up, I'm in the safe mode. I'm in green right here. This is my base formation for the next 3 or 4 plays, maybe. Right. See what I'm getting out of the defense here. Everywhere I move that green's only going to be 1 tag, 1 call, 1 something. Right. So 3 words max, and I can get to anything. So I could say rip. Let's go rip 8. Right. And post. So now I got a double post concept over there. Right. He's got fast motion. He's ripped 8. Now he's on a post. Now I'm dividing the corner and double stressing the safeties at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can get to whatever you want. You know, I could go rip 7 dig, right? Now I got a levels concept over there, right? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
You know your concepts, and what I do and what I've done is part of the script. In my script, I have passing terms that will get me to other concepts like levels or snag or, you know what I'm saying? Why stick, why cross, dagger, smash. I mean, all of that. Okay. Now if you get deep enough and you have enough time to teach the concepts to the kids, you can just call it, right? So you got smash on the right, shallow on the left, verticals on the right. Again, back to that same thing. If they know what the concept is, if it's a 2-man or a 3-man concept, the kids know it and you've taught it, you know, you're that much faster. The hardest thing is to, again, stop tagging stuff, right? But I teach 4 plays, man, and I teach 4 running plays. But if you look at it and you look at my install and you start breaking it down, it looks like 35 different plays as base plays, and it's not. Right. It is totally not. It's 4 plays. And the main play that I run is shallow. Like 99% of my calls is shallow with 1 movement and 1 tag to get me to a switch or flood or snag or stick or white cross or something like, you know what I'm saying? Because again, we're the guys that are supposed to know that. At 7U, at the 7th grade level, you need to be teaching it as much as you can and be aligned with your high school. But you're not going to get it in, man. I mean, you're not going to get 30 concepts in. You're just not. So you have to find a shortcut. And the thing about this is it's gradable, it's repeatable, right? And you can, it shows up on film. Like if you call rip 7 and the guy rips to pro, you know, there's a D, you know, on his report card. I mean, it shows up, you know, so that's another thing that, you know, again, is if you're teaching it at the middle school or the high school level, you can kind of look at it like that. You got some chat questions here.
Well, I think a couple guys had to leave because they got school tomorrow. So we got a couple guys had to leave. Randy said non-school 7-on-7. He's talking about I think just some stuff working in the summer right there. I think I just said they just had to leave because they got school tomorrow.
Yeah,
same here.
11 o'clock there. You guys are.
It's a little after 11 here. So
yeah, I'll make pictures and stuff.
I'll tell you what. If you could, that first slide you know, just shoot me a picture of that in my email.
Yeah, absolutely. The alignments.
And I will link it out, for guys to use. I mean, this good stuff, man. I like it. I'm gonna definitely be taking a look at some of this. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and again, anything you guys got questions and you want to know more about it, just holler at me. I mean, like I said, this is, I put this one together on the display and to kind of talk about it. I mean, I had a bunch of stuff to talk about. I didn't know what you guys wanted to get into.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, don't let this be the last time you come on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
we try and do this weekly as much as we can. So if you're,
we do
paying attention to the group page, then you'll see my post. I know this one was last minute, but definitely come on out more often. Absolutely.
Yeah, we do the protection stuff. I mean, I teach this with the kids. I just found shortcuts. You just find shortcuts. I like sharing. So,
okay, absolutely, yeah.
You guys, I'm trying to put a book together, believe it or not, and I just don't have time, man. I mean, I coach,
did Lasker didn't talk in that VC time? I think he said something about putting your stuff into a book. I remember that in the video.
Yeah, he asked me if I was going to, and I got it laid out. I just got to do it. I just don't.
It's good stuff. I mean, you could, and definitely, guys are gonna want it. It's a good little system. Absolutely.
Where it gets special is when you get into this, when you start hitting the air raid with it, and you're running the air raid plays. That's where it gets special. Not just shallow, but when you're running vertical and you're doing all, everything else. Like when you get into running switch and you're building the switch concept and you're running your run plays based off of it, and the blocking that you're trying to get is based off of that. That's where it gets, it gets pretty nice. But it's, once you really start diving into it, it really shortcuts a lot of your teaching, man. And air raid's so simple anyway, really, how guys teach it now. It's this is like levels above, you want to get it in. I don't know how much Matt and I know Cody Kent used a lot of the stuff that we talked about. And there was another guy on there. What was his name? He was another like youth football coach and stuff, but I've been watching, their videos that they put up, and I'll say that, the way I run shallow, most guys don't run shallow like that. They run the vertical on the outside, shallow by the number 2.
I do it too.
And the reason why I have moved to that running the corner by the number 2 is because it opens up my RPO window, and it tells me, automatically who's got the deep third on that side. And if there's got to be some rotation, I can take advantage of that underneath window a little bit faster. And that's why I moved to it. But man, I mean, I'll run shoot, with the blue. We run, anything on the passing tree, I can run with all those routes. You can tag any route you want to get what you need out of it, even slants. Don't just stay within your regular shallow concept. Like I run green arrow right like a ton, dude, out of shallow. That slant, that immediate slant there just protects the backside like you wouldn't believe, but it also clears out that shallow window for RPO even faster. Because you got a direct stress right at the linebacker. He's running right to him. He can't cover the shallow. There's no way he can get to it. That corner's got to chase. And then once that corner starts chasing and they get in man or zero, just burn them with the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I run this K route. We call it the K route. It just, in towards on a slant and then back out like a corner. And I run it right to the linebacker, and we pivot like normally you would pivot, run that pivot route. You can run it flat down the line, or you can run it at a K and make it look like a corner. And that's just dang near unstoppable when you run it like that. And dude, we went to also, I took a team to the All-Star game in Missouri last year, and we scored 6 times on that one play.
Wow.
They just couldn't stop it. We get them in a funky alignment. We pull that tight end. So we say red ace, K. Now we run trips right, and I run a now screen to the right. And then I have push motion with my back out to the right. So everything's going to the right. that tight end runs that slant to the inside and then cuts it out on the corner. There's nobody out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like it.
everybody's chasing to the right.
You got. Maybe not tonight, but I mean, you get you back on and have some cut ups of that. You got it cut up of that?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good
well,
stuff.
not tonight. Maybe we'll do some another session here soon. I like to
All
see
right.
that.
Man, I appreciate you, spending
Hey,
time with me. And
Not a problem, man. I appreciate you
Well,
coming
I
out. This
said-
is good stuff. I remember seeing this, and once you started going, I'm like, hey, I remember. I know where I saw this again. I watched you and Lasker talk about this, and I loved it then too. I was just trying to figure out how to implement, some of it into our scheme.
yeah. And I got more. I mean, there's those. We just touched the tip of the iceberg. There's lots of other tricks and tips that I can give you guys. If you want to install it, I got it installed. So just
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what. Let's keep this as I guess you say part one. We'll come back to part two here soon. Absolutely,
Cool.
I'd like to see how you install it.
Cool.
Sure. I mean, we actually had a video not too long ago where I think Robbie talked about he was on here earlier.
yeah.
He went through his 3-day install. So it'd be good to see here. You get another guy in here talking about his installation process too, because I think that's where a lot of coaches kind of struggle. Me in general too as well. I'm always figuring out, well, how do I install this? Or you know what I mean? Me personally, I'm always trying to find ways to crunch time as much as possible. As
Yeah.
much as possible, because I don't have much time. So I'm always looking for ideas on how to trim it down and then trim the fat, so to speak.
Yeah. Trim the fat. Get rid of it, man.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need it.